And if y'all play like this, y'all have a shot, you know, because we brought not only just an element of swing, but an element of soul and an element of passion and playing from here. Okay. And these are Black students playing from the experience of Black people.
Okay.
And pulling in the church and pulling in all the things and not just playing, you know, a million notes. Okay. You know what I mean? But we sound like a band. And when it's time to rear back and go up, you know what I mean? We gonna make everybody feel it. When it's time to play soft, we play soft. When after all the bands played, we all broke, you know, had a break or whatever, and then we went into the other room and the judges said their whole, you know, thing and, you know, comments, say, oh, these wonderful bands and this so and so and so and so and so. And now the top 3 bands, and we were the first of the, you know, they said in no particular order: Huston-Tillotson University, Michigan State University, and Temple University. And, you know, my head was down. I was sitting right by my wife. My head was down. And, you know, I just didn't want to look. You know, I was sitting there and they said, in no particular order, Huston-Tillotson University. And I'm like, I'm still like my head down because I'm like, and then my wife was like,
to hunt you.
Yeah, it's like, she's like, oh, well, we made it in the top 3. I'm like, oh man, you know. And our last conversation was, he was saying, man, you know, I'm getting old, man. I can't do this much longer, man. You young, I need you to be able to take the reign, you know, and do it. You know, you teach with passion. I know what you can do, and I need you to be able to do this, man. These HBCUs really need us. And days later, God called him home.
Welcome to What's Up With That, a podcast with your host, Don Burrington. That's me. Our guest for this evening is the one, the only, the amazing Dr. Jeremy Geroge. Dr. Geroge is the assistant professor of music, and he is the director of jazz studies at Huston-Tillotson University right here in Austin, Texas. The HT Jazz Orchestra, under the leadership of Dr. Geroge, has accomplished, I'm going to say, amazing feats. Another way I'll put it, has done a great deal in a very short amount of time. Most know by now that I am retired from HT. As I was retiring, there was 2 brothers, one brother who got there who actually pulled in the gospel choir to the music department. Dynamic young brother. Next year, I think he brought in someone else. And I'm not going to only say together because HT's had some major overhaul, right? The music department is pretty much brand new. But the music department on the HT campus is doing great things. It's moving to higher heights, new heights. And part of the reason for that is Dr. Jeremy Geroge. And while the entire music department deserves to be highlighted, on this occasion, in this instance, Dr. Geroge, you're the highlight for the HT music department, and want to say, welcome, sir, to What's Up With That.
So happy to be here, man. So happy to be here.
Glad to have you. I'm learning new things about you every time I see you, Doc.
Oh man, yeah, it's a lot to unpack, but
it's a lot to unpack. Yeah, I remember I like jazz and had a few friends in from out of town, and one spot that I will go to is the Elephant Room.
Yes, sir.
Some nice jazz, and saw you there.
Yes, sir.
And you were there with a couple students,
right?
And y'all were getting ready to perform. What it was exciting, just to seeing you and seeing the students, and then seeing the students performing publicly. But along with that, you mentioned something else you got coming up this Friday, a release, or?
Yes, on July 3rd, I'm releasing the single to my debut record as a band leader. Okay. The single is entitled Hard Boppin', and it's a hard bop is actually a genre of jazz music coming out of bebop era, kind of infusing bebop language with a little bit more soul and flavor and backbeat and a little bit more groove but anyway, if you listen to the record, I know when this is released, the record will be out. So you go look it up. It's Hard Boppin' by Jeremy George. You could check it out on all all streaming platforms, Apple Music, Spotify, Tidal, all the things. You could even see it on, if you want to put it on your story on Instagram, it'll be there too. So
all right. So you can find it by Dr. Jeremy George.
That's right.
To be released.
Yes, right.
And that's this Friday.
This Friday, July 3rd.
Okay. And you can get it social media sites, any streaming platform.
All streaming platforms you can find it. You can find it. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Check out Dr. Jeremy George. We're going to talk a little bit more about it, but he has a national award-winning jazz ensemble orchestra, and then we understand that not only does he teach others, he makes music himself, and is doing an amazing job. So again, would love for you to pick up Hard Boppin'.
That's right.
Hard Boppin'.
Check it out.
By Dr. Jeremy George, releasing this Friday. That's going to be June 3rd.
July 3rd.
July 3rd. That's this Friday, July 3rd. And do want to check him out.
Yeah.
And again, talking about the award-winning Dr. Jeremy George, the young brother who has come in, and I just... Dr. Oliver is
that's right.
He I think I sometimes lay it on too heavy for him, but he came in and some great things. He's brought you in.
That's right.
And together y'all are doing amazing things.
That's right.
So I said once, Dr. George, if someone had told you 4 years ago that a brand new jazz program at Huston-Tillotson University would become one of the top collegiate jazz programs in the nation, what would you have said?
Well, 4 years ago, I'm gonna be honest, before I took the job at HT, I didn't know anything about Huston-Tillotson University.
Okay.
I went to, just a little bit of background, I was in Tallahassee, Florida before I moved here. I went to Tallahassee to go to Florida A&M University, and where I got my undergraduate degree, and then taught in Tallahassee for a while, and then I went and pursued my master's and doctorate degree at Florida State University, still in Tallahassee, Florida. And so the opportunity opened through Dr. Oliver for me to be able to check out this program.
Okay.
And, I said, Huston-Tillotson, HBCU. I said, man, I know a lot of HBCUs. I don't know them all, but I know a lot of HBCUs, but I never heard of this one. And, he was just like, you just got to check it out, man. Come up, da-da-da-da-da. And so at the time, this is Dr. Colette Pierce Burnett. She was leaving at the time. And so I came and did an interview situation to where, I conducted and worked with the band and, just checked it out. And I love the vibe, love the students, love the city. And I said, man, let's do it. Now, one thing I did realize that when I came here, I realized that the students were extremely talented. And it may not be a huge program, but the program had a lot of potential because I can just hear it within the students. And under the right direction, I knew that under the right direction, after the foundation that Dr. Oliver has laid, I knew that once the jazz program was kind of being revitalized, that we have a shot to make some noise.
Okay, so when you say revitalized, can you say more about that?
Well, HT has had, a history of long-term, strong imprint in jazz. Okay. Musicians who played with Dizzy Gillespie, musicians who played, with a lot of the greats, jazz greats that we know today, as well as the wonderful Miss Carmen Bradford, who is an HT alum, who is now the vocal jazz instructor at Michigan State University. But she has been the singer for the Count Basie Orchestra for many, many years. And if I remember correctly, if I say this properly, I know that she was picked up by Count Basie while she was, I believe, a sophomore or a junior at Huston-Tillotson University.
Okay.
So I don't know the entire story, but he heard her and he said, I want you on the road with me, and then not to mention the great Dr. James Polk, who's had an imprint on the jazz program, who has, so many musicians who, played with Ray Charles, and I mean, strong jazz presence. So, we've been there, but, over the years, it just needed to be revitalized in terms of a jazz program, because I know for a while it was mainly just a piano and choir focused school as it relates to music department, which had some instrumentalists, but in terms of, Dr. Quinlan, who was phenomenal. Literally a legend. Every people, I mentioned Dr. Gloria Quinlan and, to my friends in the choral world, and they're like, oh, I know Dr. Quinlan, you know what I mean? And Dr. Berneman, who's, been doing great things with the piano program. So when I say revitalize the band program, that's what I mean. Okay,
so there has been a jazz presence on the HT campus.
Yes, sir.
From time to time, that jazz presence has been strong.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We just hadn't moved or hadn't done something that got us to the national award-winning kinds of status.
We've always had, when the jazz program was strong, we've had nationally acclaimed musicians. Okay. You know what I mean?
So the musicians have been there.
Yes.
Because a question that I would follow up would be, when did you realize this program could become something special? It sounds like you realized that when you visited the campus and maybe heard some of the students. Is that?
Yes. And even, Dr. Oliver, when we were talking about this, he's like, man, you got to check out these students. A lot of them, they come out of the church. They're just, so talented. Yeah. And what a lot of people don't know about me is I actually wrote my doctoral dissertation on the influence of gospel music on jazz pedagogy. So to where I talk about how people out of the church experience use the same language we use from the church to teach jazz music today. Okay. And so, like, after writing that whole dissertation, and deep diving into gospel music and really diving into Black American music and music of the African diaspora, and coming here and working with the students, I'm like, oh man, it's all over, So I know that this program could be, special, and the program was special when I got here. Okay. But with the foundation, from Dr. Rowley and Dr. Oliver, things were put in place so that I can, just come up and do my thing, and we work together to build something,
Okay. Okay. Well, to build something, you certainly have, and I can appreciate, because there was a season, you had some stellar musicians.
Oh yes.
Who came through. Yes, the difference is, it seems like maybe I'm using the wrong verbiage, but it seems like maybe you're building something that will last.
That's the goal.
Where we've seen the ebb and flows.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You have a strong program, and then all of a sudden, there's seemingly nothing in the area. And then there is maybe a resurgence of some sort, but not necessarily long lasting. But it seems like perhaps you are building something that, for lack of any better way of saying it, that will stand the test of time.
That's correct. That's the goal. And my goal is I want this to be of course, the top HBCU jazz program. We'll just say HBCU, but not just thinking HBCU. I want this to be a well sought after jazz program that students want to come to Austin, Texas, to come to Huston-Tillotson to study music because of the foundation that has been laid.
Okay, probably a question not in order, and I'm learning to be okay with that. With that, then, what would you say to those students who, there are some who would feel like in order to get a top-notch experience, right, to experience a high-quality department, music department, that maybe you have to go to some sort of music conservatory, or that you have to go to one of the major universities with a major program. And we haven't gotten there yet. We will get there in a few minutes, right? So I'm not trying to move there.
Yeah, that's why I'm smiling, because I'm ready.
But based on what you've just said, for those students who believe that, hey, where I come from will not allow me to do that. I don't have the resources. You are at a small, right? We talk about HBCUs,
right?
And big is probably 7,000 to 8,000, right? So when we say small, we are HT's a small university. So what would you say to folk who think that way, conservatory, major school with the super fantastic music department, and you are at this small school and with a nationally recognized jazz ensemble now?
Well, music education, well, I'll just say this, jazz education, or I'll back up and say music education as well. Music education is not all about what you get within your 4-year experience within the walls of the band hall or whatever. It's about how you immerse yourself in the culture within the city. And if we know Austin, Texas is the live music capital of the world. And a strong jazz scene, jazz specifically, a strong music scene, but strong jazz scene in Austin, Texas. So that now I get a chance when I talk to students who overlook small schools because they want to go to the UTs or the Berkeleys or the Manhattan School of Music or Michigan State or Temple or whatever. I respect those. There have been prominent programs for a long time. And those programs are standing the test of time. They ain't going nowhere. Right. But the thing is, the beauty behind what you're going to get at Huston-Tillotson is, number one, it's smaller, so it's going to be more personalized. So you can get a little bit more individual approach. What do you really want to be? All right, you want to be like, you want to play smooth jazz, you want to play gospel, or you want to play, bebop, you know what I mean, a straight ahead jazz. We can kind of really dive into the student based off of the curriculum and cultivate that curriculum to the student, and then you take advantage of Austin being such a strong city for music. So you can take those things that you're learning in the classroom and literally have an internship that night and apply those things in, playing at jazz clubs or playing at jam sessions and different things like that. The unfortunate part about a lot of the larger schools is most of them are in smaller cities that is, the jazz scene or the live music scene isn't going to be as strong. And then, students who get a music education at Huston-Tillotson, they perform at Austin city limits. They perform, they perform at South by Southwest. They communicate and work with big name producers and musicians on a regular basis, not just because the school is calling, but we have situations to where those artists are coming through Austin and they hear about Huston-Tillotson and they say, okay, I want to stop there.
All right.
So that's the different flavor that we kind of have. That's just kind of like the firepower that we have that some people don't have in those cities. Now, other schools, they can say, okay, well, we're going to pay this person and bring them in. We're going to pay this person and bring them in. We're going to pay this person and bring them in. Now we do that as well, but then we also have those experiences integrated into the students' experience because they live here in Austin.
You take advantage.
For instance, Adam Blackstone, one of the greatest producers and musical directors that ever lived right now. I mean, he's so hot right now. He's been for 20 years. Anyway, he was coming in for F1,
okay,
right, to perform or MD a show, I believe it was for Eminem. And somebody got word to him, hey man, while you in Austin, you got to check out HT.
All right.
And so he spent probably about 4 or 5 hours, maybe 4 hours with the students and talking to them about music experience beyond college.
Okay.
And, you know, and things that they can do and imparting wonderful knowledge and wisdom into the students. And he was in town for F1.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So you have an opportunity to take advantage of exceptional talent.
Yes, sir.
It comes through.
Yes,
and
sir.
It's not only taking advantage of that exceptional talent where students will have opportunity to engage them.
Yeah.
Be it that they come to campus to be in the classroom or students have an opportunity to go out. It's also impacted because of where you are and your ability to take advantage of the music scene and in your own way to find those creative ways to incorporate it within the curriculum that you've designed and developed. It also sounds like that you possibly can taper your program to students if they're interested in a certain style, that because it's a small campus, that you have the time then to nurture that particular interest that
Right. So there are some basic benchmarks that the students need to meet, you know, on their instrument. Like, you know, whether if you come to me and say, well, you know, I really want to study kind of like, you know, R&B bass or whatever. Okay, cool. Well, you know, if you're declaring that you're coming into a jazz program or being a music major and concentrate in jazz studies, we're going to spend most of our time playing jazz music. But I'm also able to talk to you and cultivate that experience so that I can integrate the things that you want to eventually become into what we do in our curriculum. So, you know, and the beauty behind the reason why jazz studies is a major it's not because we know that everybody wants to just be a jazz musician,
right,
but there are many concepts that jazz applies to. I can use jazz language in church. I can use jazz language playing R&B, soul music. But some of those techniques in those languages don't necessarily cross back over in between jazz. Okay. So you take jazz and you can use it. You allow it to become who you are as a musician. You kind of do this thing and you know, learn from that based off of, you know, what you feel and play it how you hear it. And then you can come expand upon that when you go on to be whatever you want to be. You know, when you study jazz music at Huston-Tillotson, it's like I said, it's not, all right, well, when you leave here, you're going to be the next Miles Davis, right? Okay. That's great. But, or, you know, somebody may want to be the next, you know, Kenny G on saxophone. You know what I mean? So, you know, but what people don't know about Kenny G and other, you know, huge prominent saxophone players is they study jazz language. Okay. You know what I mean? And then they were able to cultivate it and then, you know, be who they want to be within the music. So so yes, we're able to cater the experience to the student. Okay.
You got to HT because of your friend, Dr. Oliver. Shared with you, did not know anything about HT.
Right.
But trusted your friend.
Right.
And decided that you would try it.
Right.
I got here, saw a program that not just has potential, but that is basically a good program. Yeah. Just needs more development, and that it's a program that has talent.
Yeah, lots of talented students. Lots of talented students. Just naturally gifted students, as you saw in chapel every Thursday. Naturally gifted students. Yeah, Dr. Oliver reached out to me. He told me about the position that is opening up, essentially. I came and, like I said, as a matter of fact, I came and conducted the band as they were in their intensive. I worked with the band as they were in their intensive to prepare for the, I want to say, sneaker ball for Dr. Burnett as she was leaving out. Do you remember that one?
Yes.
Yeah. And Kurt Whalum performed. Another person who jazz saxophonist who moved into gospel, anyway, in soul and smooth jazz saxophone. Anyway, so I worked with the band for I want to say about 3 days, and this is how I got a chance to hear and see the potential of the students before, I made my decision to come. And yes, Dr. Oliver, it's funny, neither of us, Dr. Oliver had the job, he took the job of director of bands, and after Dr. Rowley, Sammy Rowley left. And I don't think that Dr. Oliver knew much about Huston-Tillotson either. He was moving into Austin, and God saw fit to, for him to be able to have a position open as the university director of bands. And he kind of laid the framework, did a lot of structural things and made sure people were in place and things were in place. And then, boom, was able to, open up a position for director of jazz studies through UNCF grant and to hire a new employee and all that stuff.
So how's that experience been? I mean, you got there, you saw a good program, you saw potential. How has that journey been for you to point? And understanding that Huston-Tillotson Orchestra, they had a jazz ensemble, a jazz band.
Sorry?
I say HT's had the jazz ensemble, jazz band. You keep using the term jazz orchestra.
Yeah.
Because you've expanded that it's more than an ensemble.
Yeah. So the term jazz orchestra is just another, how you have it kind of the Duke Ellington Orchestra, Duke Ellington Jazz Orchestra. Or the Count Basie Orchestra. Orchestra, not necessarily like applying strings or whatever in the classical setting, but jazz orchestra is just another term for big band. You know what I mean? But yes, actually, there Dr. Oliver. What did you say?
And you've got a big band sound.
Yeah. So Dr. Oliver, he put the personnel essentially in place so that we filled the seats, with players. Some were transplants from tuba to trombone, bassoon to saxophone. This person plays this, but then when I came in, we had the 5 saxophones, the 4 trombones, and 3 or 4 trumpets or whatever, and full rhythm section. Of course, plenty of we had bass and piano, plenty of piano players and drummer, guitar. And so that filled the seats of the jazz orchestra. But yeah, I mean, working with them, you asked, how's it been? I mean, it's been a journey. Because even though you have students that are very talented, there are certain things there were still a lot of certain things that they needed to learn. In terms of, just, the proper application of music, and they needed to learn the why, right? This goes here because of this. This goes here because of this. You know what I mean? They could do, but they needed to understand why. They needed to understand, how to play as a unit. They needed to understand the nuances of the music of Count Basie, the music of Duke Ellington, the music of Thad Jones and Oliver Nelson and all the greats in jazz. They needed to know who those people were and how to properly stylistically present the music in the best way we could. So that was the journey.
And that requires the discipline and some of those other things.
Of
course, they many think that great music programs are built on talent.
Right.
And what role does discipline, culture, expectations play in that success? And I think you just mentioned a whole lot of that.
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of that was just, setting expectations and say, hey, I know that I know what you're able to do now. I know what you do really well. Mm-hmm. Those pianists and organists and it's phenomenal, saxophone players or whatever, great ears, some of them have perfect pitch and, they're able to pick up anything. Mm-hmm. You start singing, they're able to follow you, that's so and so and so. But now let's learn how to work as a unit. We have 2 alto saxophones, 2 tenor saxophones, a baritone sax. We have 4 trombones, we have 4 trumpets. We have piano, bass, drums, guitar. Now we need to learn how to work as a unit. Think about a sports team. Right. I told you before, I coach baseball, right? I coach, we said this off camera, but I coach baseball. I played baseball. Baseball is one of my favorite sports to coach, and it's always been my favorite sport to play because it's one of the only sports, this is in my opinion, people can, like what they say, argue with your mama. Right. But one of the only sports that you can't lean on talent or just natural athletic ability to win a game. There's a lot of nuances, right, that goes into it. If the ball is hit in this direction, the shortstop, you got to be the cutoff man. Left field, you got to go get the ball and throw it to the cutoff man. Cutoff man, when you turn around, you need to make a decision. Are you going to third or you going to second? So this, you have to work as a unit. It's not just about we got Brewington on the team. Brewington hit 60 home runs, so we just hope that he hits a home run every time. Well, you're only going back 4 times, maybe, in a game. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So 4 home runs, if nobody's on the base, that's only 4 points. Out of 9 innings, 4 points is kind of easy to beat. Right. You need a good pitcher. You need a good catcher. You need good awareness. So that relates directly to music. And playing as a unit. I may have an all-star piano player. I may have an all-star saxophone player. But if they're not supported properly, the band won't sound good. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So what we had to really teach them is to learn how to play as a unit. And when this is going on, you are support. You're not the solo. This is a solo is happening. But rhythm section, you got to be support. You got to be very foundational. You know what I mean? If you come in and play backgrounds or whatever, those backgrounds have to be very tight. Because one glitch in the matrix over here could throw the soloist off. So those are the things that, what I mean by, you can't just lean on talent and natural ability. When you're playing any music,
there's some skills and there's some things. Exactly. Other kinds of things that you just got to have.
Yes, sir.
So what kind of values do you instill in your students beyond just good musicianship?
Well, being a good person. Being honest, showing up on time, professional skills. A lot of, I've been blessed to gig and tour around the world during my life, and I still do a lot of playing and gigging around town, in and out of town. And now I'm able to teach in and out of town as well. And a lot of the conversation with some of our most talented students is not how to get the gig, but how to keep the gig. Right?
So you can get it, the keeping is the real challenge.
Getting a gig is easy. Because if I just saw you on Instagram or I just saw you playing last night, man, boy, you play a mean saxophone. Hey, I'm playing a gig, man, so and so and so. Hey, are you available tomorrow night? Okay, great. here's the pay. This how much we going, this is what we going to play. This what time you need to be there. But now you've gotten the gig because of what you've done previously.
Right.
Now, what you do currently will determine if you keep the gig.
Right.
Knowing the music, showing up on time, being easy to work with, making sure that you're able to play your role on stage when it's time to play as a unit.
Okay.
And so those are the values outside of just, you got to know how to play this. You got to know how to play this. You got to know this tune. You got to know, because I know a lot of phenomenal musicians who's sitting on their couch every day.
And can play the music, but
they can play very well.
But they just can't do some of the rest of it.
Exactly.
Going to keep them.
Exactly. So those are the main values and then not even just in jazz, our music majors who are going into teaching, how to keep the gig.
Okay.
I taught public school for 10 years, as a band director, music teacher, all these different things on all levels, elementary, middle, and high school. And, there are a lot of things that teachers have to understand, and not just how to get the job, because there's a teacher shortage.
Right.
If you got the certification, sometimes if you ain't even have a certification, you can get the job, but you can't get in there messing with the money. You can't get in there messing with them kids. Yeah. You have to make sure that you do your lesson plans, that you report all the things that you need to report, and that the students meet the certain benchmarks that you've set out. So that's what we try to instill, about being good people, but also being able to function properly within the workspace.
Okay. Can we move to this competition?
Mm-hmm.
This national competition that you were part of.
Okay.
You had 10 collegiate ensembles.
Yes.
Were selected nationwide. So that's 10 schools were selected from across the nation.
Mm-hmm.
HT was the smallest institution invited.
Correct.
And it was one of only 2 HBCUs.
Yes, sir.
So 10 campuses, 10 spots, 2 HBCUs.
Yes, sir.
In the midst of all of that.
Mm-hmm.
HT being the smallest of all.
Yes.
And HT being the only all undergraduate ensemble.
Correct.
So that means the other programs consisted of maybe master's students.
Yes.
Maybe Ph.D. students.
Yes.
Who were part of the program. But HT strictly undergraduate students.
Yes, non-traditional. We have some non-traditional students, but all of them are part of the undergraduate program. Yes, correct.
Okay. That says a lot. That says a lot in terms of the competition that you went up against. Where were you? You did your application and did all that other stuff and put it where were you when you learned that HT had been selected for the National Collegiate Jazz Competition?
Right. Well,
what was your first reaction?
I want to walk you through the whole process.
Walk me through. Me through.
We gonna walk through the whole process. So essentially, this had kind of been building for a while.
Okay.
My first year when I got to HT was 2022. August of 2022. So fall 2022.
Right.
22, 23. One of my great mentors, who's passed on to be with the Lord, Mr. Ronald Carter, he had been putting on a HBCU jazz competition.
Okay.
Right. And the competition had been going on, I want to say, for 3 or 4 years. And so still in its smaller stages, but it was kind of building traction. Alongside that competition, he also had a high school competition piece that I got involved in with my high school jazz ensemble. Okay. That when I was a high school band director, we did that on, I think it was, I want to say, the COVID year, because it was a virtual competition. So in the time of COVID, right off the heels of COVID.
Okay.
And so, because I remember we were still doing hybrid learning. It was like some of the students,
21.
2021. Yes, sir. So some of the students were at school, and then some of the students were, I had to teach online and have a whole camera. It was a lot. But anyway,
I got
we
you.
done with that. Anyway, so, but we submitted for that, and we sent in a video to be a part. And so, again, he was a great mentor of mine. When I ended up getting the job at Huston-Tillotson, he reached out to me and was like, hey, man, you need to make sure you bring your ensemble to my HBCU jazz competition. Competing in that competition was Norfolk State, Fisk University, Huston-Tillotson University, and Tennessee State as well. They were doing like an exhibition. It was held in Nashville, Tennessee at Tennessee State.
Okay.
Now, I'm mentioning this because the Jazz at Lincoln Center organization was a sponsor, and they had representatives at that competition.
Okay.
So this is in 2022. Now, we went on to win that competition in Nashville, Tennessee. So that was kind of like a great moment for us, because it just kind of put everybody's like, Huston-Tillotson, who's that? I told him, I like to, just like the boxers say, the underdog, you get to smack him in the mouth real quick. Bow. You hit him off guard. Nobody was expecting us.
Right.
And they're like, oh, Huston-Tillotson, whatever, all right, Tennessee State's gonna be there. We know about Tennessee State. We know about Fisk. We know about Norfolk. Those are universities that people know of.
Right.
Anyway, all that being said, we were there. And then that competition was also run incongruent with the Jazz at Lincoln Center, essentially Ellington High School regional competition. Okay. So there were high schools that were there that heard us. And again, the Jazz at Lincoln Center, some Jazz at Lincoln Center representatives, specifically Todd Stoll and Cedric Easton, were there at that competition. Now, moving forward, we won that competition. After the competition, I met with Todd Stoll, and he was like, man, thank you for what you're doing. I was texting Wynton Marsalis as you guys were playing and saying, hey, man, you guys got to check this out, check this program out. Also, other prominent jazz artists were there to clinic us. Wyclef Gordon, Eric Scott Reed, Domo Branch, Brian Carter was there. Donald Harrison was there on saxophone. So it was a lot of people that were there. It was like, oh man, these cats kind of, doing the thing. Let me check into who these guys are. Anyway, now moving forward, that helped us get some good traction. I went out and do the next year, and and did some recruiting. Because I do a lot of judging of jazz competitions and different things around in Florida and Georgia, different places. And I was able to recruit some students. So the next year, we didn't do any competitions or anything, but we just kind of worked with the new students. We got new life into the program. So it kind of, like, all right, hey, let's hit the ground running. Let's do it. Myself, Dr. Oliver, and the rest of the jazz faculty, we really we were excited because we had students coming in, and, it's like, all right, let's get with it, let's move. So Dr. Oliver's got the wind ensemble going, and he's working, and I got the jazz ensemble going. We're working this and that. And then, we're hitting the ground running. Now, trust me, I'm getting to an end. Trust me, this story. I know I'm kind of good, but I got to walk you through it.
It's like, come on.
I told you we was walking, we ain't running.
I'm walking with you, Doc.
Now, so 2023, I'm sorry, not 2023, 22, 23, 23, 24. Now 24, 25 year came, and the Jazz at Lincoln Center had been doing a program called Black, Brown, and Beige. And that's essentially a program that is named after one of the great Duke Ellington suites called Black, Brown, and Beige. So Black, Brown, and Beige is a HBCU initiative to where they send representatives from the Jazz at Lincoln Center to go out to different HBCUs to work with them and prepare them for their HBCU Jazz Residency that happens in April of 2025.
Okay.
2025. Now, moving somewhere. Now, we were invited to that, okay? And that HBCU Jazz Residency, we were one of 12 HBCUs to be invited. That is just a jazz residency. It's not a competition.
Okay.
So we were invited, and they knew about us because they heard us in Nashville, and they had been sending representatives through Cedric Easton, Black, Brown, and Beige program, whatnot, whatever. They worked with us, and they're like, okay, let's go ahead and get them there. Now, HBCUs that were there: Florida A&M University, Norfolk State University, North Carolina Central University, Jackson State University, Grambling State University. So Morehouse College. You got all these people there that was there. North Carolina A&T, all these folks that were there. And now we were selected after we performed as one of the top 2, right? Judges from the Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra were judging us. Members from Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra were judging us. And they selected their favorite 2, the top 2, right, to open for the Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra that night at their concert in Chrysler Hall. I think it was 2,000 seaters night. Huge venue. Now, packed out show. So we opened for them. We played one tune, right, each. It was us and FAMU that were selected, okay? And because of our good performance during the competition. We opened for the Jazz at Lincoln Center, and we performed with one of our mentors from Jazz at Lincoln Center, Kenny Rampton. We brought him on stage and whatnot. He performed with us. Now, we'll keep it moving. After that, because of that, we were invited to the National Collegiate Jazz Championship, which happened in January of 26. Right. So it was those 2 instances, 3 including the Black, Brown, and Beige program, those 2 instances that allowed us to be selected for the National Collegiate Jazz Championship. So I didn't have to submit anything or whatever, but because
based on your performance and folk already seeing what you do.
Exactly. Now, the Jazz Championship was a competition.
Okay.
HBCU Jazz Residency was not a competition. It was essentially the Jazz at Lincoln Center organization and the Virginia Arts Festival pouring into HBCU jazz programs and working with those programs, having sectionals, doing Q&A with Wynton Marsalis, and working with bands. Each of the bands had a mentor from the Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra, putting on jam sessions, whatever. It was like a 3-day event, and so that was cool. We all kind of met, the students met each other, this and that. But because of what we did there and what we did in Nashville, allowed us to be selected to perform and compete in New York City in January.
All right.
And then we got 3rd place out of all the other programs that were selected.
So what was that feeling like when they announced that you all had 3rd place? You performed, and all of a sudden you've got an announcement coming. You're all waiting, right? And you get this announcement. What was that like? You've got a good program. You've got a program with lots of potential.
Right.
I'm going to say you know your own gifts and graces, right?
That's right.
You have lots of passion.
That's right.
So you know your own gifts and graces. So you all that comes together. And God has opened the doors and placed you in places where you could be seen.
Yeah.
Right? Where you could be seen and heard.
Yeah.
Right? So that it opened some doors for you.
Yeah.
The doors are opening. The doors have opened.
That's right.
Now all of a sudden you here, 3rd place. What was that like? What was it like after all the work that you put in, all the analysis and comparing and?
I'll back up. When we were preparing for this, we did like a 2-week intensive, right? We left on January, I want to say January 14th or 15th, something like that. We came back on January 2nd, It was like, Happy New Year, y'all. Come on back to Austin so we can get working. We also had like a couple of, people that I had to come work with the band as we prepared.
Right.
And I listened back to the band and I'm like, man, we got a shot. We got a shot. And every time, some of my mentors that work with the group, they're like, oh man, dude, y'all are smoking, man. Y'all got some things happening. Just tweak this, work on refining this. And if y'all play like this, y'all have a shot, because we brought not only just an element of swing, but an element of soul and an element of passion and playing from here.
Okay.
And these are Black students playing from the experience of Black people.
Okay.
And pulling in the church and pulling in all the things and not just playing, a million notes.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But we sound like a band. And when it's time to rear back and go up, you know what I mean? We gonna make everybody feel it. When it's time to play soft, we play soft, And so, after we performed, well, we were in the second group. They grouped it. They had the group A that was the first 5 bands. Then group B. We were the second band in group B.
Right.
And so we had a chance to hear some of the other bands and listen to some of the other bands. I'm like, woof, man, they playing. You know what I mean? They sound great. And I mean, these are great programs with, killer players. But, I went in there and went into the warm-up room. They call you into the warm-up room. And I said, let the students play a little bit. And then I said, guys, don't worry about the crowd.
Okay.
Don't even worry about that this is New York City. Just get on that stage and have fun and soak it all in and play from your heart. And everything else gonna take care of itself. No matter what happens after this, remember the work you put in. And remember to play from the heart. From the heart. And I think that the performance that we put on made everybody feel it deep within their heart and soul. And so when after all the bands played, we all broke, had a break or whatever, and then we went into the other room and the judges said their whole, thing and, comments, say, oh, these wonderful bands and this so and so and so and so and so. And now the top 3 bands, and we were the first of the, they said in no particular order: Huston-Tillotson University, Michigan State University, and Temple University. And, my head was down. I was sitting right by my wife. My head was down. And, I just didn't want to look. I was sitting there and they said, in no particular order, Huston-Tillotson University. And I'm like, I'm still like my head down because I'm like, and then my wife was like,
to hunt you.
Yeah, she's like, oh, well, we made it in the top 3. I'm like, oh man, And so, I immediately just, started praying. I said, thank you, Lord, because this is not just something that, our school was just, everybody expects Michigan State to be there. They're one of the top jazz programs. They've been one of the top jazz programs forever. There's a well sought out program. Everybody expects Temple. They expect a lot, university. It's like their expectation to be in the top 3. And I even said, man, before we left, I said, the fact that we even are going.
That says enough, right? About who you are.
I'm forever grateful.
All right.
And I told the students, y'all should be. We did a performance. I know I'm kind of yapping on. I'm just getting excited about it.
You're excited.
We did a showcase concert at HT. I think at lunchtime the day before we left, because we left it. 4:00 in the morning. It was early, but we did like a 12 o'clock. I said, send a message out to the faculty. Just said, come meet us at 12 o'clock. Have your lunch with the jazz orchestra, and so we can do our presentation that we're gonna do in New York. And afterwards, I told them, we're excited, so and so and so. And Miss Stinson came up and she was like, do you mind if we lift y'all up in prayer? And so, she prayed for us, and it was. As a director, anxiety is building up because we about to go all the way from Austin, Texas to New York City. Now we've flown before. We flew to Nashville and we've done different things, but this is for this is the most prominent jazz stage in the United States right now, the House of Swing.
That's what I'm saying, the world, right?
Yeah. So I'm saying, right. And so, I told the students, I'm like, man, I'm anxious, but God gave me peace in that moment, and I knew that we were going to be able to have a shot, and so just moving, like I said, I was just just kind of like in shock, because I'm sitting here like, but I, immediately pray. I say, thank you, Lord. The fact that, man, we in the top 3 within the likes. And it's interesting because Rodney Whitaker, who's the director of jazz studies at Michigan State, and Terrell Stafford, who's the director of jazz studies at Temple, those are guys I look up to. Rodney Whitaker's a bass player just like me, and I followed his work for a long time, and that has, it was just great. And we took a picture together in the room or whatever. I was just like, man, you guys are people out. I'm the new kid on the block. I'm just
so now folk gonna start following you though. It's all good, right?
You're right. What the Bible say? Your gift will make room for you and put you before great men. So God is good.
So you're saying this, the value of this. So what does it mean? Well, one, before I go there, what was the sense from students? One, the idea of when they knew that they had been selected, and then when they won. What was that for students?
Well,
what was that like?
The students, I remember at the rehearsal when I read the letter, because Wynton Marsalis, they sent a letter from Wynton Marsalis' office saying, congratulations, you've been selected, participated in the National Collegiate Jazz Championship, yada, 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 because of your great work, da, 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 da. I read that to the students, and they kind of were like, wow.
Speechless.
Right.
To get a room full of students speechless, that says something, right?
And that letter was also sent to, the president, and, the president, we had a conversation, and her response was, New York, here we come. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to make sure, before I even told the students that,
she knew,
the president knew, and we had, verification that we were going to make this happen. And her response was, New York, here we come. And I told them, I said, the president said, New York, here we come. And they were like, they were just excited, you know what I mean? And, a lot of them are real cool, calm, and collected. They kind of like, man, it's great. I remember Josh Liston sitting on the piano, praise the Lord.
Right. He didn't lean into it a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So, and they were ready to put in work. And they did. And when we got third place, the students were, it was just all smiles. When we got top 3, it was all smiles, and the students, us not winning first place, I don't think they felt slighted or anything like that, because we were happy to be there. We were happy, to be in the House of Swing. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like also knowing that, we're still in the early stages of revitalizing the program. You know what I mean? The resurgence of the program. So, it's a lot of layers to it. But the students, they were excited, and they really put in the work. They really put in the work.
I think that's evident. They were rewarded.
Yes.
This is important for HT. Is it also important beyond HT? Does it say something about not only HT but HBCUs across the country?
Yeah, I think this recognition is not only just important for HT. I think it's important for Austin, Texas.
Okay.
Right? Because I do believe that Huston-Tillotson is the heartbeat of Austin, Texas.
Okay.
It's important for Austin. And then, even more important, UT Austin was also at that same competition.
All right.
So you had 2 schools from the same city. Uh-huh. And it's funny, me talking to Todd Stoll, one of the people over the educational programs at the Jazz at Lincoln Center. Mm-hmm. He's like, man, that's never been. We've never, out of the years of doing it, we've never had, two schools from the same city.
Okay.
You know, and so that's cool. So it's important for Austin, Texas, something that Austin, Texas can be proud of, and important for HBCUs.
So the win has value.
Yeah.
Not just for I'm going to say our little HBCU called Huston-Tillotson, which I believe is a gold mine. An amazing place.
Yeah.
To be.
It does.
But also implications for HBCUs across this nation, and like as you stated for Austin, Texas.
Yeah. You know, it's just like I was saying. You know, 2023 was when they had the competition previously, and North Carolina Central won that competition.
Right.
And to say that the last two times they've had competition, HBCUs have had a strong presence.
All right.
Right? In terms of winning, North Carolina Central winning in 23, and then Huston-Tillotson placing third in 26. That speaks volumes.
Okay.
So it's definitely something that not only HT, not only Austin, but HBCUs can be proud of.
Okay. I think you might have said it because you talked about when you perform. You've told me when you get up on that stage, perform from the heart. What does it mean to represent Black musical tradition on one of the world's most prestigious jazz stages? Did our students really realize what that meant?
I think they do, because I'm always reiterating to them that jazz is Black American music. Now, I'll go one step further and even say, you know, like Black American music, because it stems from the music of Africa. It's a part of the music of the African diaspora.
Okay.
From the rhythm, right, to the specific language, the vocalization, the call and response, and all of these things, which are elements of African music, you know. And when you think back to Africa, talking drums communicate with rhythm, right? It's dance music, you know, African dance, right? It's a oral art form, right? That we vocalize and we listen by ear, right? Listen and learn and pass it down by ear. And so being able to teach Black music at a HBCU and represent HBCUs on that type of stage and represent well is an honor and a privilege. And the students understand that. I tell them that all the time. It's very important that you guys understand that we're HBCU and that this is Black music, you know, and not to make it a racial thing, but most of the schools that were there were PWIs.
Right.
And I can count on two hands outside of our bands, North Carolina Central and Huston-Tillotson, the amount of Black students that were up there playing the music. No shot to anybody, but it's just facts.
Right.
So to be able to, I mean, honestly, for me to be able to be the director of jazz studies for African American music at HBCU is an honor and a privilege. Yeah. You know, and so I believe that I'm standing on the shoulders of giants and I'm able to represent Charlie Parker, John Coltrane, Miles Davis, Thelonious Monk, you know, all these people who represented jazz music, you know what I mean, and represent it well. Yeah. And so I have to be their voice, you know, that's, you know, here outside of the books, I have to be their voice, you know, and it's an honor. And also infusing gospel music, you know, into what we do, because the jazz, deeply rooted in jazz music is the church, gospel music, you know. So it's I call it preaching the gospel of jazz. You know what I mean? So it's an honor and a privilege. And yes, to answer your question, the students know that.
Okay. So what's your biggest concern about the future of jazz education?
Is that I think the my biggest concern probably about the future of jazz education would be that the oral approach is almost being taken out of the music.
The what approach?
Oral.
Okay.
Right? Oral, right? AURAL, right? So that, everything is being taught, from sheets of paper, or, from the theory books. And I'm not knocking that, because they have to know how to read. They have to understand, music theory. They have to understand the why and the what. But this music was passed down in speakeasies, and bebop was born at Minton's Playhouse, and this was when those guys used to meet after they big band gigs, and they would be meeting at 2 a.m. and play until 6 a.m. until the sun came up, and they're just coming up with things on the spot.
Right.
So the problem with jazz education is that there has been a lot of emphasis on, the etudes, and I think etudes are important, but less emphasis on transcription and learning to improvise by ear, instead of and it's been replaced with learning from a piece of paper, and so a lot of times guys are, when you think about people like Johnny Hodges, who's a great lead alto saxophone player for the Duke Ellington Orchestra. He was the sound of the saxophone section. Okay. Johnny Hodges could read, but he didn't like to read music because he felt that it took away his freedom. You know what I mean? And so now, of course, they would read charts in the Duke Ellington band or whatever, but a lot of times they just play his music from memory. But Johnny Hodges wouldn't read music. Okay. And so that's how improvisation was learned. It was based off of ear and call and response, those things from church. You know what I mean?
Especially black
so
church.
So a lot of the black traditions of the music are slowly being taken away. Also, there's issues in jazz education now to where people are saying, there are people, barking and saying, oh, well, you sound too churchy. Or you sound too bluesy, you know what I mean? But, that's almost blasphemy, because this is where the music comes from. Okay. It is what it is, and so that's the problem. But I think that now there are people who are standing out and who are stepping up and saying things, people on larger platforms who are saying things about it and reminding people that, hey, this is Black American music. And as much as we try to take the nuances out of it that make it Black American music, we're destroying the culture and the concept of the music. You know what I mean? Now, there are a lot of, I do believe that jazz is for everybody. It's not just a Black thing.
Right.
It's a music that brings people together, for sure. It's not just a situation to where, this, symphony was only written for this crowd.
Yeah, it's good music and it creates a stirring in the soul.
Yeah.
It happens to be Black. That's just what it is.
That's just, it is what it is.
Unapologetically. That's just
exactly.
What it is.
Exactly.
Can I ask, what most excites you about jazz as we look at what's happening in its future?
What excites me is that there are starting to be more and more instances for students to be showcased, and up and coming people to be showcased through camps and through initiatives, through the Jazz at Lincoln Center, through summer camps, Jazz Ahead Camp, and so much Ravinia Jazz Camp. And I feel like the music itself is starting to rise a little bit more.
Okay.
And through young vocalists like Samara Joy, you know, getting Grammys now, you know what I mean? Okay. And I mean, not just best jazz album, but I think a year or two ago, she got best new artist.
Okay.
And that's a jazz record. That's a jazz artist, and she got best new artist. So I think that people are turning their ear a little bit more towards jazz. Not that it obviously, you know, people are going to have their styles of music they like to listen to. If you like to listen to rap, if you like to listen to R&B, if that's your main thing, you know, that's your main thing. But I think more and more people are starting to be open to turning their ear towards jazz. You know, I mean, I can see it in, you know, the support and the pre-saves and pre-purchases of my record that I have coming out, because it's a straight ahead jazz record. You know what I mean? And so I'm grateful and I'm excited about that.
Awesome. Yeah, so third place nationally. What's next for the HT Jazz Orchestra? I mean, you've got national competition. Is it to go back and get first? Is it? But third place nationally. What's next?
We're taking every step in stride. We're continuing to build and recruit students, and continuing to put our curriculum in place so that the program stands, as you said, the test of time. You know, we want this program to continue to be here long after I'm passed and gone. Okay. You know. Or you know, wherever, I don't know what God has for my life, right? You know, but I don't want the program to be centered around Jeremy George or whatever. That's not the thing. But what's next is whatever God has for the program. You know, because of that, we're getting emails and about, you know, international opportunities and recordings and artists that want to, you know, come work with it. You know, we're going to continue to bring artists in. We're so grateful for donors and people who supported the program to help us bring artists in. I know you said this should air in September. So in October, we're going to have the Grammy Award winning Christian McBride coming in to work with the students. And you know, we're continuing to look for opportunities so that our students can continue to be put on a platform and build their resumes. So when they leave and get ready to go to grad school or whatever they're going to do, that they can have things under their belt that they can go on and do their thing and say, you know, I had a great experience at HT, you know. And so that's what's next for the HT Jazz Orchestra, you know. Just continuing to make sure that we have a firm foundation set for our students. And as opportunities arise for us to compete or perform nationally, internationally, we're going to jump at them and we're going to do what we do.
Yeah. So develop a program that meets the needs of students, I'm going to say, and on some levels exceeds.
Right. And also,
that,
and also not even just a jazz program, but, you know, the music department. Yeah. You know, Dr. Oliver conducted the wind ensemble at TMEA, the Texas Music Educator Association conference, which is the largest statewide state music conference, and they're the first HBCU to perform at TMEA. Wow. And people travel far and near, not just from Texas, to come see it. He put on a stellar performance. You know, continuing to build out the classical program and send them, you know, to Europe and different, you know, individual. We sent 8 students to a chamber music camp in Europe last summer to Italy. You know, and that was Dr. Oliver's doing. You know, the choir continuing to have opportunities to flourish and be selected for national spotlights and different things. So not just the jazz program, but just the music department. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, you know, we packing a punch right now.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
I will ditto that again. The passion that I do see, and Gloria was a joy. I mean, I've been
We love
long
Dr.
time.
Gloria.
I go all the way back to Bulatins, Curry Jones, Stephen Berneman, fantastic. The energy that you all bring. When I say you all specifically, I'm speaking of Dr. Oliver.
Yeah.
William Oliver and yourself has really been amazing in terms of lifting that music department at Huston-Tillotson. As we draw down to a close here, that word legacy means a lot of different things maybe to a lot of people. I think legacy is also that which lasts beyond you, right? If it does not outlive you, I'm not sure you have a good legacy. But that outlives you. What legacy are you trying to build, not just at HT, but in jazz education?
I feel that God has positioned me to follow in the footsteps of one of my late great mentors, Professor Ronald Carter. Professor Ronald Carter was big into HBCU jazz. And he's a graduate of Bethune-Cookman University in Daytona Beach, Florida. He went on to move to St. Louis, and he taught at the great East St. Louis High School for a long time, built their jazz program and put out, phenomenal musicians. Later on went to Northern Illinois University, what actually is a PWI, but he worked at Northern Illinois and built that program up to be a very strong jazz program in the United States, and later on did some more things. But his heart and his voice was always advocating for HBCU jazz programs. And so beyond Huston-Tillotson, to really kind of be the voice and support system for HBCU jazz programs. Like I said, it's really my passion to work with Black American students and HBCU students who are interested in jazz. And so I am very passionate about this. And, I used to talk to my mentor at least once a week. And I was a part of his company called Carter's Jazz Clinics. This is Ronald Carter. And I talked to him all the way up until a couple days before he passed away. And our last conversation was, he was saying, man, I'm getting old, man. I can't do this much longer, man. You young. I need you to be able to take the reins, and do it. You teach with passion. I know what you can do, and I need you to be able to do this, man. These HBCUs really need us. Yeah. And days later, God called him home. And so I know that was God's marching orders. That was marching orders from God through him. And since then, I've been on a mission, strengthen HBCU jazz programs.
Okay. And so, and that I hear mission, that mission to strengthen jazz programs on HBCU campuses.
Yes, sir.
It's awesome.
Yes, sir.
My last question, I think we've sort of responded to in terms of the young folk who are out there who might be looking for a program, but feeling like there's not a place for them because of resources, kind of thing. So, and you've responded to that. So I'd like to sort of end with, when your career is over, when you get as old as I am, okay? Your career is over.
Yes, sir.
What do you hope former students will say about Dr. Jeremy George?
I hope and pray that they say that I was very passionate about music, about character building, and about student development. I hope that they're able to say that I had a good heart and I gave it everything I could. Literally left it all out on the table. And I hope that my legacy will continue to live on. And not just about performance, but jazz education, and not just about getting the gig, but keeping the gig, and learning how to work in spaces with other people, in performance spaces, you know. And of course, you know, he was a God-fearing man, and he, you know, was very passionate about jazz education, was very passionate about HBCUs and student development. And that I give people the shirt off my back. You know, that's sincerely. That's what I want them to say. That's what I hope that they would be able to say, not just about my words, but you know, my actions. You know, nobody's perfect, but the best thing I could do is try to be the best Jeremy that I can be each and every day, and try to do my job and do it well. And I hope that students are able to speak highly of me.
Okay. Awesome. Dr. Jimmy Geroge, I want to thank you for being here, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for being here. And I can't say enough. I'm grateful to have had the honor and the privilege upon making my exit from HT.
Yes, sir.
To have had the honor privilege of meeting yourself and Dr. Oliver.
Yes, sir.
I think that you all are doing an amazing job on the campus of Huston-Tillotson in the music department. And I can't wait to see what it will be, because it is not yet what it will be.
The best is yet to come.
Congratulations on your national competition and winning, and looking for a lot more of those to come as we move into the future. So thank you, sir. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing. Great things happening on the campus of Huston-Tillotson University.
Great things happening. What's up with that?
What's up with that? All right, Doc. Again, grateful that you're here. Appreciate you. And to our listeners, we are glad that you are here. Hopefully we will begin to do a little journey with HBCUs, starting, of course, with our very own Huston-Tillotson. Again, you've heard from our president. You're hearing from Dr. Jeremy Geroge, music department, and a nationally award-winning jazz orchestra, and the amazing job that he's doing on that campus. Our HBCUs are wonderful. They're doing great things. We have phenomenal presidents running our campuses, and we have amazing instructors, professors who are doing phenomenal things. And our kids are growing on our campuses. So I'm going to say, if you have a kid who's interested in music, and they have a particular interest in jazz, they ain't got to go to all these other places. They can go to Huston-Tillotson University, get under the tutelage of Dr. Jeremy Geroge, and experience a magnificent program and learn what you really can do and all that you can be. Thank you, Dr. Geroge, for being here. And until next time, be blessed.